Do you want to know how to make a Squid Game mask out of a $2 colander? Well then stay tuned. Hi, my name is Kim with Kimagine DIY, where I hope to help you imagine the possibilities with DIYs and crafts. If that sounds like fun, consider subscribing. Now let's just jump right into the project. I bought this colander at Target for $2. So the first thing is you're just going to take your Dremel and sand down all the stands. Be careful with this part because it was heating up the plastic, so it was partially melting at the same time and getting thrown everywhere. So make sure you wear some safety glasses, a mask, or just a face shield for this part. After all the legs were sanded down, I decided to minimize that groove line in the colander. Then with a small drill bit, I decided to drill pilot holes to fill in all the gaps and to get the pattern continuing before I went up to the larger drill bit. I used the 9/64 drill bit. This part took a lot of time, but it was definitely worth it. Then with my Dremel, I used a grinding disc bit to kind of slowly saw the handles off. This part you have to work slowly and cautiously because it is a little bit deeper than the drilling of the colander, and it can kind of throw the bit around. Then with your sanding drum, you're going to shave down and reshape anything that needs to be smoothed out and get rid of all the plastic burrs on the corners so it's nice and smooth when you put it on your face. So I put the actual colander over my face to see where I would want it to be cut in half, and I think it just ended up being exactly in half anyway. Using the wheel grinder, you're going to cut it in half and then use the sanding drum to clean it up. Since I want the bottom part to be smaller than the top because I want to make this mask collapsible, I'm measured about in ½ an inch, and I use the wheel grinder to cut it off. Then with it together, just mark where there will be a gap. So I measured out another ½ an inch, and then I decided that I probably wanted to make the bottom of the mask just a little bit slimmer so you can move your head up and down better. So it wasn't a good line, but I was just trying to eye up what it would look like. So here's what the mask looks like after I used the wheel grinder and the sanding drum to clean it up. So there's a nice gap separation there. Now I'm just drawing a ½ inch line down the mask to outline what the finished trim will be and part of the track that will make this retractable. This is a piece of 2mm black styrofoam, and I'm cutting out 1.5 inches in width and then scoring just a ½ inch into it on either side because I want a ½ inch gap between the lower part of the mask. Then you're just going to grab your hot glue gun and put a bead of glue down the side of it. You're going to try to line up the edge of the mask with the score line, and be careful because it is hot glue. It's very hot. I've burned myself many times with this project. So I used a Sharpie to help press down the styrofoam into the colander. Then just repeat with the other side, put another bead of glue on, and just try to line it up with that ½ inch score line as best as you can. I also decided to use a little sewing clip just to help hold the styrofoam to the mask for a little bit while it was still too hot for my fingers to press down. Here I am using a recycled bottle I cut open to create 1/2-inch strips so I can start constructing the track to make this mask retractable. It was very difficult to adhere the plastic to the plastic colander. I tried to use hot glue, you see, to help hold it in position with the styrofoam, but then it actually melted the plastic. So then I grabbed some Gorilla Glue, but unfortunately it just barely worked. I had to put a whole lot of it down, and then the dry time is the annoying part, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Then I just took my scissors and trimmed off the excess. I cut out 2 pieces of styrofoam about 1/4 inch in thickness, and I'm gluing it onto the outermost side of the plastic 1/2-inch strips that we just put down. This is going to act as a spacer for our 1-inch piece of plastic that's gonna act like the car on this track. Then we're going to cut 2 more strips 1/2 inch wide as the final trim, and just glue it down to that little strip of 1/4 inch craft foam. Now I'm just cutting some craft foam and doubling it up, making sure it can fit between the gap of these top 2 1/2-inch styrofoam pieces. And I'm gonna cut out a 1 by 1 inch square to be, for lack of a better word, the car that's gonna be going on this track. And then just trim the excess. I'm just trying to fit it in here, just seeing that it slides back and forth, which is awesome. It's a little stiff, but it works. Now it's time to add 1/2-inch trim along the top and front of the upper part of the mask. Sliding the car piece back into the track, I decided to add a wider piece on top, so I'll have more of a surface area to eventually glue that little piece to the top of the mask. And then just to add a stopper, I'm just gonna cut a piece of styrofoam to plug the back side so it can't fall off when you're wearing the mask. And I just hot glued it in place. Again, be careful. Here's another instance that I burned my fingers for the millionth time. Adding that spacer in did lift up the top part of the mask, so the line wasn't even with the bottom part. So I just took a Sharpie to see how much of a difference there was, so I can just cut off the outside of the bottom of the mask. So I grabbed my Dremel with the wheel grinding bit and went to town. Then I grabbed the sanding drum to smooth out all the lines and actually used a scraper to help get rid of some of the debris. Then it's time to trim the bottom of the mask with more 1/2-inch black 2mm craft foam. Then we're also going to add a strip to the inside of the top of the mask. Working on the bottom mask, I'm adding a 1/4-inch strip to the very top of the 1/2-inch trim. This is going to help support the mask onto the top part of your mask, so all the pressure isn't just resting on that one little track piece. So I'm also going to add a 1/4 inch inside the mask, but I'm going to glue it on the bottom part. So these two pieces are going to overlap for support, almost like making a small cantilever system. Since I have a Cricut kit, I just cut out a square using some stencil film and transferred it onto the mask. You can easily do this with just some painter's tape, but because I had the resources, I wanted to give it a try. It was a little difficult because everything kept bending, so I had some trouble applying this stencil on anyway. I was having a little bit of trouble with my card design, so I had to slim it down a little bit to fit in the track better, and then I decided to staple it because the glue did come off as I kept on trying the track out. But since I stapled it, it actually got smaller, so I had to add another piece of foam to make it thicker. Since I was basically terrified to glue these pieces together, I decided to spray paint them first. And I was so excited to spray paint it that I forgot to show the first initial spray paint. Don't mind my appearance. It is actually 12:30 a.m. that I was still working on this project. Then I noticed that I was looking through the holes. You can see the white on the other side, so I decided to spray the inside of the mask as well. I picked a flat black spray paint and it worked beautifully. It's the moment of truth. Time to peel the stencil off. I got a little bit of bleeding, which isn't so bad. So then I was just going to use some blue tape and tape up your lines and use some craft matte white paint to cover the black overspray. The problem with this is as soon as I peeled up that blue piece of tape, it actually pulled off some of the black paint. Alright, now for the scariest part is gluing the car piece to the top of the mask. I was basically holding my breath this whole time because this is the first time I'm ever making something like this, so you just pray through the whole time that it works. And of course, holy cow, it does. I'm not saying it's the smoothest retractable system, but it can collapse. Now it's time to add the elastic. So I'm breaking out the handy glue gun again, but with plastic it's not handy at all. It just pulled the paint off. So I'm gonna try Gorilla Glue again. I suggest that you guys find, well, one, glue these straps in before painting, and to find a better glue for plastics. If you guys have a favorite glue that you use for plastics, please comment below so we can learn together, because this was so annoying. So then I just used the Gorilla Glue for the other side, and directions suggest that you put the glue down and actually wait 2 minutes and then stick them together. I decided that I wanted to do like a T-strap to just get some extra support for my head, and I actually sewed the vertical strap to the horizontal strap because it's instant than just gluing and waiting for dry time. And then using a pin as I was wearing it, I put the pin in to know exactly where it would reach the mask so it'd be comfortable and where I would need to glue it. Since I've been having such bad luck with this glue, I was using clips, and just a heads up, it will make an impression on the foam trim, but at this point, I just wanted it to be done. And for extra safety and comfort, I decided to cut out some large 2mm craft foam strips to glue it. Also, just for comfort for my head and to help glue the straps down, that there's more surface area. And here's the finished product. I am so happy at how it turned out. It fit very well. And the fact that I was successful in making it collapsible is amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, you can click the card right up here, or click right here for what YouTube says is best for you. And of course, don't forget to watch the blooper at the end, and I will see you guys next week. And of course, don't forget,